Hi guys, welcome to our daily encounter. In Mark chapter 3, in our reading today, we read about a man with a withered hand who was healed by Jesus in the synagogue. And Jesus called this man to stand up in front of everybody and to reach out his hand. And when he stretched out his hand, Jesus healed his withered hand. And this must have taken a lot of faith by this man. It must have taken a lot of courage by this man to stand up in front of everyone in the synagogue and to expose his weakness, especially in a society where your weaknesses were seen as symbols of sin, that there must be some type of judgment that was placed on you if you were sick or if you were poor. And to stand up in a quote-unquote church setting and to open or to stretch out your withered hand was probably very difficult and very shameful in a sense. But because of his faith in Jesus and because of Jesus' request, he stretches out his hand and his hand becomes restored. And as we think about this from a spiritual standpoint, we can kind of relate with this man with the withered hand. Because I think it might be true that all of us have a withered hand. That is, all of us have something that we are weak in. Something in our spiritual life that needs strengthening, that needs restoration. It might be that we're weak in the area of some particular temptation or sin. Maybe it's a particular sin, particular temptation that seems to always overtake us. And whenever we try to overcome the temptation, we find a withered hand. We find a weakness and inability to overcome the temptation. Or perhaps it's in regards to some type of act of service that we want to render to the Lord. There's something in our heart that we know we should be doing for God, but we feel like we're not adequate for it, and we don't feel like we're strong enough for it. And once again, we find a withered hand. It could be a lot of different things that causes us to experience the withered hand, but all of these just really represent our weakness. And oftentimes we become ashamed of our weakness. And so what we do is we try to hide our weakness. Maybe we might try to hide the various weaknesses that we have, whether it be temptation or it be service to the Lord. And we just say, you know what? I'm just going to ignore it, pretend like it's not there. I'll keep it to myself and I'll just deal with it. But we could learn a lot from this man with the withered hand in that we should say, you know what? I'm never going to overcome this weakness if I just keep it to myself, if I just try to deal with it. I need to stretch out my hand before the Lord. I need to come to the Lord with my arms outstretched, bringing my weakness to the Lord so that in his strength, he can restore my weakness and make me strong. The Apostle Paul experienced this, and he learned really the value of weakness. In 2 Corinthians chapter 12, he apparently had this thorn in the flesh that was seen as a weakness of Paul. We don't know exactly what this thorn was, what this weakness was, but he went to the Lord 3 times, and it's believed probably not 3 literal times, but 3 seasons of times he had come to the Lord asking that this thorn would be taken away. And this is what the Lord said to him: "My grace is sufficient for you, for power is perfected in weakness." And that's exactly what happened with the man with the withered hand. The man had a withered hand that was weak, that was deformed, that was unable to work or do anything. But Jesus's power was manifested through his weakness, and his power caused him to be restored again, and it brought glory to Christ because of the power that he was able to demonstrate. And so Paul goes on to say, "Most gladly, therefore, I will rather boast about my weaknesses so that the power of Christ may dwell in me." I'm not going to be ashamed of my weakness. I'm not going to get down and out about my weaknesses. I'm going to bring them to the Lord, and I'm going to boast in my weaknesses because in my weakness, the Lord's power can be demonstrated, so that when I overcome this weakness, when the hand is restored, so to speak, he will be glorified, and I'll be able to experience his power working in my life. And so I'll more than gladly have weaknesses so that his power can be demonstrated through my weaknesses. And so if we do our reading today and maybe we relate to this man with the withered hand, and maybe we see weaknesses in our spiritual lives, things that we typically are ashamed of and we just wish that they weren't there, let's bring them to the Lord and pray that the Lord's power will be manifested and exerted through our weakness so that he might be glorified. And that as we then go in the strength of the Lord, we'll learn all the more to trust in him, to not trust in ourselves, and to rely on him, and to give him the honor and the glory that he deserves. So these are some things to think about as we do our reading today. With that, guys, I do thank you for watching the video today. Hope you guys have a great day. Love you guys. God bless.